It's my trial so that uh, in every chapter I may compile from every book concerned for the EME for the AME license exam conducted by the DGCA and EASA module of each books are very important lines and important chapters and line by line of those chapter. Now here I am starting aircraft drawings. Now what is the purpose and function of aircraft drawings? When an airplane is conceived in the minds of the engineers and designers, it is nothing but an idea until it's put on paper so others can add their expertise and ideas, and these thoughts can be translated into aluminum and steel. Written descriptions are often difficult to follow, and this fact has been recognized since ancient times when some wise Chinese said that a picture was worth 1,000 words. Drawings take many forms, with some used to illustrate principle and others to create impressions and moods. But in the aviation maintenance industry, we are concerned only with drawings that gives us information on the construction of our aircraft and details of the proper way for us to maintain them. When an airplane is designed, drawings are made of every single part. These are called detailed drawings, and where detailed parts must be assembled, assembly drawings are made to give the production workers in the aircraft factory all of the information necessary. Every aircraft drawings is membered and a careful record is maintained. So if any changes are required, the information will be passed on to the persons affected so that all of the changes can be incorporated into the parts as they are built. The actual drawings are made on translucent vellum or mylar by the draftsman and sent to the reproduction department. Here as many copies as needed are printed by a process in which the black lines made by the draftsman come out on the paper as blue lines. The prints are then recorded and then distributed through the factory as they are needed. The most popular type of reproduction for machine drawings in the past has been the blueprint, in which the black lines made by the draftsman reproduce as white line on blue paper. But blue line drawings have been adopted by the aircraft manufacturers industry generally, because the pencil lines used to make the drawings do not need to be traced in the ink before they are reproduced, as is required for blueprints. Thus allow a real savings in time and labor and reduces the cost of preparing the drawings. All aircraft factories have a drawing room manual that details all the lines, symbols and conventions used by the company for their drawings. And rather than the drawings produced by each factory being different, there have been throughout the years trends to standardize the drawings. In this text, we will show typical application of aircraft drawings as they are generally used. B. Now, types of aircraft drawings. As a maintenance professional, you will come into contact with many types of drawings and graphic representations. Each type of drawings is designed to transmit a certain type of information, and you should be familiar with most common types. Working drawings must be divided into 3 classes: detailed drawing, assembly drawings and installation drawing. Other types of drawings include sectional drawing, exploded views, block diagrams, logic flowcharts, electrical wiring diagrams, schematic diagrams, and pictorial electrical diagrams. Now, what is detailed drawing? Number one, when a part is designed, the draftsman must make a drawing of it with such a detail that in the part can be fabricated in the shop. A detailed drawing supplies complete information for the construction of a single part. All dimensions are included and the material and finish of the part is specified. Sometimes an enlarged section or a drawing of another view may be added to make the drawing easier to understand. A drawing number is assigned to each drawing, and this becomes the part of number that this particular part will carry through this fabrication and on this assembly and installation into the finished unit, and as it carried in the service parts inventory. When a detailed drawing is made, it is carefully and accurately drawn to a scale and is dimensioned, but when the print is made from the drawing, the paper shrinks or scratches and the part shown on the print is seldom the exact size as it was on the original drawing. For this reason, you should never create a part from a print. Always use the dimensions that are given. Now, number two, assembly drawing. After all of the detailed parts have been fabricated, they are assembled into the various assemblies according to the information on assembly drawings. And assembly drawings depicts the assembled relationships between two or more parts, a combination of parts, or a group of assembly to form a larger assembly. These drawings reference the detailed parts of the parts number and specify the type and number of fasteners to be used to join them. Only the dimensions that are needed for the assembly of the parts are included. Since these are already detailed drawings for every component, no material are specified on the assembly drawing. Number three, installation drawing. All of the sub-assemblies are brought together in an installation drawing. An installation drawing shows the general arrangement of the parts on their position and the information to install the items. The bill of material on this drawing lists every fastener needed and notes on the face of the drawing for furnish and information required for the installation. Dimensions are given for any adjustments that must be made for the part to function. Often, portions of the aircraft that are not actually involved in the installation are shown to help you locate the part being installed, and these are drawn with phantom lines. The part is identified with the name, and the word rough is noted beside it to indicate that the part is there only in reference. Number 4. Now, sectional drawing. It is often necessary to show the internal construction or shape of a part, and this is most generally done with the use of sectional drawing. If only the shape of the cross section of a part needs to be shown, this can be done with either a revolved section or a removed section. the I-beam in this case has been broken in two parts in the figure. Two places with long break lines, and the cross section is shown between the breaks. In the figure, we see a bar cut with a cutting plate line and the section removed and identified with the letters used at the end of the cutting plane arrows. Complex assembly such as drive shaft given in the figure are shown in the complete sectional views. Because of use of section line, it is easy for the identify the shaft, housing, bearings and pulley, as well as the seal and seal retaining nut. If it would be helpful to see the outside of the part of the well as the inside, a half sectional view can be made as we have given in the figure, which we have shown. The upper half of this drawing shows the internal construction of the assembly, while the lower half shows the entire assembly as it appears from the outside. Now number 5, exploded view drawing. Illustrated parts lists often make use of exploded view drawings to show every part that is in an assembly. All of the parts are in their relative positions but are expanded outward so that each part can be identified both by its physical appearance and by its name or by a reference number that is coded to the part list. Now number 6 is the block diagrams. With electrical and electronic systems and components becoming more complex, methods and procedures have been developed to aid the technician in locating troubles. Since much of the maintenance of these systems consists of identifying a malfunctioning subassembly and replacing it. Block diagrams such as one shown in the figure useful. Each block shown in this diagram represents many components and usually a printed circuit board or some other type of replaceable module. When troubleshooting a system using this type of drawing, the technician identifies the problem and then replaces the module that receives the correct input but does not produce that required output. Logic flow chart. Say troubleshooting the logic flow chart been developed and is shown The logic flow chart represents the mechanical, electrical and electronic action without necessarily expressing the constructions or engineering information. When troubleshooting a system using this aid, the technician starts at the oblong start symbol and follows the arrows. Start is in capital letter, follows the arrows. Rectangular boxes tell what to do, and the diamonds are decision points. Match the conditions that exist after the instructions in the rectangular boxes have been followed. Each diamond has one input and only two outputs. So by using logic, the chart can be followed to the oblong end of test. These are all capital symbols. This type of chart identifies the probable faults the system can develop and specify the fix for each one. And by using this chart, troubleshooting time be reduced to a minimum. Now, number 8 is electrical wiring diagrams. Aircraft service manuals include a copy of all of the electrical circuits in the aircraft. Drawings such as specify the size of wire to be used and the type of terminals, and identify each component not only by its part number but also the serial number, applicability if there has been a change in the parts installed during the production run of the airplane. Electrical wiring diagrams can be of several types: those that show only one circuit, those that show a large number of circuits together, those that show the connection of wires at splices, and those that show the arrangement of parts. Now, number 9 is pictorial electrical diagrams. Pilots' handbooks and some training manuals often use pictorial diagrams of electrical and hydraulic system. Line drawings represent the components rather than the more conventional symbols used in the schematic diagrams. Diagrams such as help visualize the operation of an electrical power system of an airplane. Now, number 10 is schematic diagram. Schematic diagram is used to explain a principle of operation rather than to show the parts as they actually appear or as they actually function. It helps us to understand the operation of a constant speed propeller without showing any of the details of its construction, of its installation. Care and use of drawings. Number 1. Drawings are both expensive and valuable. Consequently, they should be handled carefully to prevent tearing the paper. When the drawing is open, smooth out the fold lines instead of bending them backward. Number 2. To protect drawings from damage, never spread them on the floor or lay them on surface covered with tools or other objects that may holes in the paper. Hands should be free of oil, grease or other unclean matter that can soil or smudge the print. Number 3. Never make notes or marks on a print as they may confuse other persons and lead to the incorrect work. Only authorized persons are permitted to make notes or changes or prints as they must sign and date any changes they make. Number 4. When finished with a drawing, fold and return it to its proper place. Prints are folded originally in the proper size for filing, and care should be taken so that the original folds are always used. Now, in aircraft drawings, there is methods of illustrations. Now, first one is orthographic drawings. Almost all drawings used for the constructions of a detailed part of an aircraft are made by the orthographic projection method. The part is shown in 1, 2 or 3 views, each drawn on a flat plane as it would appear if it were drawn on the surface of a transparent box. All of the rays extending from the object are parallel and perpendicular to the plane. Quite often, all 6 views are not needed to show the part, and most of the drawings used in aviation maintenance show 3 views of the parts: a front view, a side view, and a top view. These are the same as the views projected on the surface of our transparent box and are positioned on the part in the same relationship they would have if the sides of the transparent box are opened out. Number 2 is isometric drawing. The form of pictorial presentation that is most used for aircraft drawing and sketching is the isometric drawing. This is a projection of three-dimensional object on a flat plane with the object rotated in such a way that three of its faces are visible. Let's visualize the cube in the figure previously. To make an isometric drawing of it, we must rotate in such a way that corner A will touch the plane of our drawing, and edges A, B, AC and AD will all form the same angle to the plane. In an isometric projection, the corners B, C and D will not quite reach the surface, a distance away from A equal to length of the side. But because they are back at an angle, the distance between A and each of the other corners will be only about 81% of the length of the sides. However, in an isometric drawing, we make all dimensions of the distance in the drawing the same length as the actual sides. An isometric drawing and an isometric projection have exactly the same shape, but the drawing is larger, and because we do not have to change any of the dimensions, it is much easier to make. Since the purpose of the pictorial drawing is to allow a person to visualize a part, an isometric drawing serves our purpose well. Now, number 3 is oblique drawings. An oblique drawing is similar to an isometric drawing, except that one of the forces of drawing, because of this, two of the axes are perpendicular to each other, and the front faces of the drawings are identical to the front view of an orthographic drawing. The depth axis of an oblique drawing may be angled up at any convenient angle, and for most oblique drawings it is about 30 degrees. There are two special types of oblique drawings that may be encountered: the cabinet drawing and the cavalry drawing. The cabinet drawings get the name from drawing used for cabinet work. These drawings are drawn with the oblique side at a 30 or 45 degree angle to the horizontal and use half scale of the front view. This allows an accurate and undistorted view of the front, with the remainder of the drawing present only to illustrate some depth. Cavalier drawings use the same scale of the front view on the oblique side lines. These lines are set at a 45 degree angle to the horizontal and create a distorted picture of the object's true proportions. These may be used when detailing is required on the oblique side. Number 4 is perspective drawings. It is sometimes described to make a drawing that shows an object even more as the human eyes sees if then either an isometric or an oblique drawing can do. When we need to do this, we can use a perspective drawing. The basic difference is that with both oblique and isometric drawings, the rays from the object that intersect the plane of the drawing are parallel, while in a perspective drawing, these rays meet at a distant point on the horizon called the vanishing point. Perspective drawings are not generally used in aircraft drawings. Meaning of lines in the drawing. Lines are to a drawing what letters are to detailed description. Each type of line has a particular meaning and use. Now, number 1 is visible line. Any edge of a part that is visible in the view represented by the drawing is shown with a medium weight solid line. Number 2, hidden line. If an edge of a part is hidden from view, it is represented on the drawing by a dashed line of the same weight as the visible outlines. Center line. The center of holes and lines used to show the middle of a symmetrical part are drawn as light lines, made up of alternate longs and short dashes. The exact center of a hole is marked by the intersection of two or the short dashes. Number 4. Dimension line. These lines are light and solid, but broken in the center for the dimension to be inserted. An arrowhead is placed at each end, touching an extension line from the part, and shows the exact location from which the dimension is made. Now number 5 is extension line. These are the light lines that extend from the point at which a measurement is made. The extension line should not actually touch the visible lines of a drawing, but should start about 1/16 of an inch from the edge of the part. Now number 6 is the cutting plane line. It is necessary to cut a view, so we may see a section of a part. We use a cutting plane line. This is a medium or heavy dashed line with arrowheads to show the direction in which the view is seen. Letters at the arrowheads identify the section that is shown. Every time a cutting plane is shown on a drawing, there must be a sectional view of the part made from the cutting plane and identified by the same letters as are used at the ends of the arrowhead. Now 7 is the phantom line. These lines are made up of long dashes alternated with two short dashes. They are used to indicate the presence of another part that is included for reference only, or from the alternate position of a part. For example, a movable part may be shown in solid lines for one of the positions, but in phantom lines for its position at the extreme of its movement. Now number 8 is break lines. Short break lines are used across small dimensions or some components to show that they continue on but are no concern in this particular drawing. These are medium weight lines, the same as the visual lines of the part, and are often drawn freehand. Long break lines are used across a large part and are made up of light line with a series of irregular breaks to show that the part continues on. Long break lines usually extend beyond the solid lines, which indicates the edges of the part. Bars, tubes, and rods have break lines drawn in such a way that they show a partial sectional view of the part. Now, number 9 is leader lines. These are the light lines with arrowhead that extend from a note to a part of the drawing to which the note applies. They extend from the center of the beginning of the first line of the note or the center of the end of the last line. Leader lines should never cross a dimension line, an extension line, or another leader line. Number 10. Section lines. These lines are used to denote the type of material on which a part is made, or in some cases merely to indicate by the different directions of the angle of the section line that the part is made up of more than one piece of material. Eleven is lettering. The most important consideration for an aircraft drawing is that it accurately portrays the information the draftsman wants to give. But also of importance is economy with which this information is presented. For legibility and speed of doing the job, all lettering on aircraft drawings is done freehand using single stroke. Gothic uppercase letters such as seen in the figure. Very light guidelines are drawn and the letters are spaced to reach approximately the same amount of white space between them. This spacing does not put the letters the same distance apart, but they appear uniform, and it is the appearance that makes a lettering attractive and easy to read. Word should be separated by the amount of space required for the letter, one with space on each side of it. Fractions are always made with a horizontal division line, and the number should be 2/3 as high as the whole numbers. Now, number E is the dimensioning of a drawing. A drawing, to be meaningful, must not only show us the shape of the part, but it accurately give us all of the needed dimensions. Now, one is tolerance. The precision with which a part is to be made is indicated by the way the dimensions are written. The dimensions that appear on the drawing represent the perfect size and are sometimes called the basic or nominal dimension. These dimensions will have limits, the largest and smallest allowable dimensions that the part may have and still be acceptable. Limits are the extremes of the size allowable. The tolerance is the difference between the extreme permissible dimensions. In aircraft drawings, any dimension given in a common fraction normally assumes a dimensional tolerance or plus or minus as 1/64 of an inch. If a dimension is given in one decimal, such as 2.5 inches, the tolerance is plus or minus 0.1 inch. If the dimension appears as 2.50 inches, the tolerance is plus or minus 0.04 inch. More precise measurements are made using 3 decimal places, such as 2.500, which denotes a tolerance of plus or minus 0.010 inch. If still more exact measurement is needed, the dimension may specify the limit such as 2.500 plus 0.005 minus 0.000. The dimension requires that the part be no longer than a 1/2,000 inch over the base dimension, and that it be no smaller than the given dimension. Allowance is the difference between the nominal dimensions and the upper or lower limit. It represents the tightest permissible fit for the proper construction and operation of mating parts. Now, number 2, placement of dimension. Most aircraft drawings are dimensioned using a datum edge of the surface as a reference from which all of the dimensions are made.